Autumn's Hammer. 19-year-old Hans lay in the dying grass, looking at the trees above him, taking in the different colors and tones of reds and yellows. It was autumn, his favorite time of year. It was when the harvest was brought in. He and his family could relax. Another good year finished. A light wind was blowing. He pulled his jacket tighter around him. And it was also Oktoberfest. Oh, yes, celebrating the harvest. He inhaled deeply, remembering the smells of roasted bratwurst, pretzels, and pilsners. His breath catches in his throat and he gags. Instead, he smells the sickly sweet smell of burnt flesh and steel, petrol and blood. Hans is snapped back out of his daydream. He is an ammo bearer for a Pak-40 anti-tank gun on the Eastern Front. It's 1943. The wind is still blowing. It's carrying the sounds of growling diesel engines and the shrieks and pops of steel tracks. The Soviets are pushing again. Hans's battery of guns was hidden in and around a crop of trees. Everyone held their breath. In the distance, about 600 meters, a dozen T-34s were moving horizontally to their position, showing them their thinner side armor. Just as the last tank entered the kill zone, the platoon leader yelled, "Fire!" The world exploded as guns fired and tanks were hit and started to burn. Panic struck the Soviets as their tanks were being knocked out. Some reversed, others fired wildly. Hans couldn't help but to think on what a terrible harvest of men and machines he was now part of. And so, with that thought, he passed another round to the loader. Alright guys, DJ, the Guild Master of Swollen Gamers Guild. I'm going into the last part of, I figured over how I apply the flock and modeling stuff to the base of the model. And I'm just going to show you what I do to mix up my white glue. So what I end up doing is I'll take so much white glue, I'll mix it with water, which I've kind of done off screen to get like a real runny consistency. And then what I do, whenever you apply this to, say, a model base for flock or whatnot, a lot of times it dries like a yellow clear or clear. And if you haven't colored the bottom of, say, your base yet, like this, you'll see the black through the flock. So what I do to get rid of that, I'll take a neutral color, which, believe it or not, German field gray really works well. And I will literally mix some of that into the paint and mix it up. So take a brush here and I will literally mix it up. And all you're trying to do is get the color pigment in there. And this does not affect drying or anything, or how well it still sticks really well. If anything, because it's a little bit watered down, it dries a little bit slower. But as you can see, it's like a gray now. So what happens when this finally does dry, like whenever you apply it to the model, you see you don't need a lot of color. And it really mixes it up well. Once you're done doing that and it dries, it'll actually dry that green color. And it'll be a lot easier for your models to stick. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go ahead and do a little sample piece for you. So I'm going to take a larger brush here, a little larger applicator. I'm just going to take some of this. I'm just going to paint it on there. And I'm going to, kind of, a fairly decent thickness. I'll leave one like that. And then the other one, I'll actually put some flock on. And I'll let you look at the difference. just what that little bit of a trick will do for your model. So I've applied those two things. And then I'll take some flock here. Usually apply it fairly heavy. Okay. Once it's applied, I will take usually a applicator, or usually one of like the sculpting tools, and I will literally just go ahead and push that onto the model. Getting it all pushed down in there really good. Okay. A little bit off screen here. I'm going to go ahead and tap root it off of there. Okay. Now usually what I'll do, I will let that dry for upwards of 8 to 10 hours. Now I'm going to show you what this looks like whenever it's fully dry, and how you'll be able to see how this will be actually colored. It'll stay that color with it. Now, the one problem you have with flock and stuff for bases, honestly, is you have, well, I like to call it shedding, because it's like these little, I'm not even sure what this really is made out of. I think fiberglass, but it's not itchy, so I'm not sure exactly. But it definitely sheds over time. Like, you'll have it all over your hands and stuff like that. So one of the things that I like to do, or you should do, I'll take some Tilden Color for plastics. This is like a clear lacquer. It's like a flat matte finish. And I will spray the crap out of this. And what it does, it helps seal the model. It'll still look like a kind of a vibrant grass, depending on how much you use. Will like make it look a little bit flat, but not as much as you would think. But what ends up happening is it hardens on there, it seals the model, and you don't get the shedding effect over time. So yeah, that's kind of my painting tip for whenever you like do bases. If you want to flock it and not worry about the color of the base underneath coming up through your flock, because I've seen it happen to some guys, especially whenever you primer the base with the models on it for other war games. What ends up happening is you'll see the white or the black or whatever, brown. Brown is actually a little bit not as bad, but especially for white, if you prime your stuff white, you'll see it come through your flock. And the only way around it is to reflock the base heavier, or whenever you apply your glue, just go ahead and put a neutral color. Like I said, believe it or not, the one I go to a lot is the German Field Gray. It's a nice like gray tone, so it's, I guess, like a medium color or a medium tone, and so it kind of really, if it does show through the flock, it doesn't distract from the model. It kind of like washes itself out, if that makes sense. So I'll let these dry, and then I'll come back and I'll show you what they look like. And yeah, guys, that's really my hobby painting tip. All right, you'll see the other part of this, the result here, fast forwarded into the future. All right, guys, keep your powder dry. All right, guys, as you can see, it dried this grayish color. And then knocking this off, nothing really came off. You know what I mean? Just doing that little bit of a technique will really help with your bases. Saves you an extra step and adds an extra little bit of realism to the model. So, as you can imagine, seeing, I've had pictures, and now, and there's my piece. My pack 40 for the YouTube's Painters Challenge. I'll have some more better close-up photographs of it. But yeah, the same technique that I just showed on the previous picture is the same I use for this. One of the differences is something you can do too, like the leaves, like the actual maple leaves that I've done. You do the same thing, and you really can't really tell, but whenever it actually dries, there you can see a little bit of a splotch, but you can see how
the color is still gray enough. When you pull back, you won't be able to see. But yeah, this is my piece. A German Pak 40 anti-tank gun. Alright guys, I hope you like it. I hope you got a little bit of something out of it. Like I said, it was only a little 5-minute painter's tip. Just something extra you can do to help with your model. That way whenever it dries up and you do get close, as you can see, I can get super close, and I don't know if you can really tell, but you can't see through the grass. You know what I mean? And that's all because of that extra color. It just kind of fuses that black underneath. Alright guys, this is the Guildmaster signing off. Alright guys, keep your powder dry and have a good one.